Yes, your mother's daughter. Somebody tell you how
Right now. Okay, let's start the meeting. Said we have to be out of here at least by 3:30 because we got to lock up, clean it up, and get out of here. Yeah. Elaine, hi, Wiseman. Would you be kind enough to pass this out and have somebody draw? We'll get this out of the way right now. It's about $700,000.
somebody has to draw.
I'll have you handle that, please. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Get your tickets out. The number 6.
Got it.
Oh. Okay, 6298 11.
Right here.
This is Kenner. Yo, right there. Oh, I guess that's not right. Yeah. Mrs. Kenneberger is the winner.
Set up deal, huh?
How much?
Uh-oh.
$35.
Well, give it to her accountant. What's her accountant?
Okay, I got some more for you too.
All right.
I got the other half.
Well, thank you, Mr. Kenneberger. Go to that. Yep, thank you, Mr. Kenneberger. Brooks, you guys know that his Indian name is Big White Feather. Yeah. And Patty over there, she's Little White Feather over there. Here,
Just call me Pink Plume.
thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Elaine, for doing that. Appreciate it. Okay, let's get back on here. Now we're jumping into new business. And under this, the first thing under new business is Elders Council. And what we're trying to do here is, we know that we have elections that are going to be coming up in October, November. We want to kind of follow the same guidelines as we did when we resolved this issue by having our get a tribal elders council and let them select an election committee. So I guess what we're looking for right now is volunteers or names. So we'd like to sit on the tribal elders council to give us a hand. We need about what, 6? 5 or 6?
5.
5 will do. Okay, Betty?
One at a time. Raise your hands.
Betty?
There's a lady over there.
Dee Dee's got her name.
What's your name? Dee Dee Wurzberger. How do you spell it?
WIRTZBERGER. Some Indian name.
Anybody else, please? Al Wiseman. Well,
Edward, raise your hand, Edward.
You don't have to be
oh,
old.
I can't hear now.
Yeah, but that's later, you'll be able to
I'm
get.
already on the whatever's got the next to me.
Oh, okay.
But this will be a new one.
This is a new one.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a requirement when they make the decision. That's it.
You've been on there, you've got all the experience, so you can lead the pack.
We made him on the election committee.
We're still, I think this would be our last election.
Oh, well.
Yeah, okay. I think we go to 2 cycles or something like that.
No.
Whatever that, one more anyway, I think.
Well, I don't want any confusion here.
I don't know. He could still be on the older, isn't it?
Well, he said he's on the election committee, but
Already, yeah.
don't we have to have a new election committee?
Yes.
Well, he can still be on that, this new one, can he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He can
This
be an
is just for
elder.
the elders panel, I thought you said.
Yes, it is, but we were wondering if he could also serve on the election committee, being on the elders.
I doubt it.
I don't think so.
Do you want to be on the election committee rather than the
I'll
elders?
just stay where I'm at right now.
Okay,
Election committee?
Yeah.
Okay.
okay, well, we'll have to appoint you that, but anybody else? And we got 2, or we can start sending it out by email. Fran, you want to get in there?
We got 3.
No, I stay on election committee if I can.
Okay, all right. Anybody else? We got 2 to start with, we'll put the word out by email. Okay, so, if you got anybody that you're talking to and wants to get involved on the elders panel, let us know. Ed, you don't want to do that?
You can't hear.
Oh, okay, okay.
$4 fuel, I can't afford that.
Oh, well,
You know, one question on that,
You told me I'm broke, you told me I'm broke.
okay, thanks anyway, Ed. What, Fran?
yeah, could you just kind of give a general rundown of what the Elders Council does? You know, just kind of
Well,
short,
no,
sweet thing, and
there is
maybe
no,
put that out on your emails and everything?
Oh, at this point in time, I don't think we have anything specific. I mean, an outline form, only thing we're looking for right now is to handle one thing, and, for a tribal elders council to go ahead and select a, election committee for us. That's the thing that I have brought up at this point in time. If we want to use them for other things, I guess we would.
Okay, sounds good.
Alright, okay. Okay, and, Ed, when are we gonna get our buffalo steaks?
You have to go down to Yellowstone to get it.
Oh, okay. How are you gonna sneak up on that buffalo if you can't hear it?
Yellowstone Park.
Hopefully he lives in Duff Buffalo.
Okay,
Get them all the pork pack.
yeah, okay. Go ahead there.
What would the term be of the elders? What term would they be appointed for, or whatever?
I would say that they would dissolve after that election's over. When new tribal administration comes in. So I would say at the end of the fiscal year, I would believe. The swearings would be is in November yet anyway, right?
January.
January, February, so
January.
I would say they would serve that purpose, and then when a new administration comes in, they would do their thing. Okay. On the election committee. What was we gonna say? That's it, we've already covered that. Okay, you know, one thing is we all know too well how much this internal dispute has hurt us and set us back. And of course, it's our desire to never have to go through that again. So we need to start working on some sort of little shell judicial system. We need to get it done in place somehow. I know that Vice Chairman Gerald Gray has been in contact with Troy. We were trying to ask him if he'd want to be a sitting a judge for us. He has declined that position, but I do believe he said he would assist us in trying to figure out how to get this judicial system set up. I think it's a real important requirement that we get going on and get it in place. I wrote down the name here. Do you guys remember Mr. David Rash when we had our meeting? He said when we get federally recognized and all this stuff, there is money and people and training that will come out and give you all of that stuff for training your judicial system, how to set it up and stuff. So I'm going to have Gerald or one of us will drop him a line and say, can you assist us and tell us where we could go? Because he's actually a sitting judge too. You know, that we can get us a judicial system in place. So I think that's premium. I think we have to get that done because of what we went through before. So, we'll try to work with, Troy Woodward, David Rash, and see what we can start putting together to find out how to get our own tribal system.
Will that require a constitutional amendment to insert a judicial branch into our?
It's already in there, isn't it?
Uh,
Is it already part of the,
It's in the
it's in
Constitution.
the Constitution, it just needs to be updated, I think.
Yeah, it'd probably have to be updated for sure, but, yeah, I mean, in the meantime, we'd like to have it done before November, in case anything happens with the new election. So, how we're looking at it is maybe do a resolution for now, and then, as everyone knows, we still need to have a constitutional convention and have our constitution fixed and updated, because it's pretty minimal. Yeah. So that'll be another process too that we have to look at, is having all members voting on the Constitution too. Any changes, so, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
I'm
got
sure,
it.
go ahead.
I got a question on that. Those ones that we redid and voted on, are they in the Constitution now? Remember when we were the Alliance? We updated those certain articles.
I don't think we didn't, we put them on hold because,
They were passed, but,
we didn't make changes that time.
There was a couple that were passed, but I don't think it was on.
yeah,
it
the
was
vote
never-
of the people passed it.
Yeah, the people
well,
did
just a
pass
minute,
it.
I'm kind of confused as where we're at here on that. Because I know we voted on, I don't remember what it was exactly, remember anymore, but
That's a Steve, I sent you an email on,
James.
If you remember right, Mike, you're correct. We worked on drafting up amendments to the Constitution, and those amendments were put out through a vote of the people through ballot. And so those amendments were passed, and that also includes language about the tribal court, as well as the upcoming elections and the role that the Elders Council plays in those elections.
Okay.
And the Elders Council also plays a part in the tribal court.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then we're gonna jump into this here thing with the ICE grant, here. And I'm gonna let, you work with James and explain a little bit about that. Gerald's on top of this. And keep in mind on this ICE grant, he explained it to you, because I don't know that much about it myself, but, out of that 70,000, we were lucky that the state of Montana did give us $7,200 out of this fund immediately to pay our back taxes. And we have, and that was hand delivered also, by the way. It was hand delivered. So we've got the, I think I gave that to Elvina to file away, so that's paid. So let me tell you what's taking place here. At this point in time, we've been working with James, and we have that Maroney Dam property over there. It is our intentions to hopefully someday own it, have it given to us by the state of Montana. Nothing's finalized at this point in time. We still have to, there's several steps that still have to be done. And I think we got to tell at least June, I'm not certain. We need to have a method of memorandum of understanding with the state of Montana in place. We have to make a commitment, spend the time we've had it, to do something with it, either update it or do something with it. If it's said and done, it's approved, when the state legislature goes forward and gives us that land, we'll have 7 acres next to the dam and to the river, which is quite unique. And there's several things that it can be used for as a visitor center, powwow center, something to have our own, where we can have our own powwows and do our own thing, so. So we got James is working on cleaning it up. He's already spent a couple of weekends up there cleaning that building up. He's already met with several officials. They've had a tour of the building, and it's not, we still have some hoops to jump through yet. So I'm gonna let James tell you where he's at, what's taking place with that. And Gerald might know a little bit more on that too, to update us with it, so. James, you wanna take over here?
Okay. As you may recall, back in 2006, we had the legislative bill that passed whereby the state of Montana, through the legislative bill that was signed by Governor Schweitzer, agreed that the tribe would have use and management of the property near Maroney Dam, which includes 7 acres of land as well as a 2.5-story brick building. And of course, nothing was ever done to follow up on that during the time that the previous tribal administration was in place. So now, that's another case where, just like these other things that the council talked about before, we're playing catch-up. In order for us to keep the pledge that we made to the state in that bill, as well as the legislators that helped us out, we're working as fast as we can to make sure that we make use of that property so that we can go back in at a future date to a legislative session and have them convey ownership of that land and that building to the tribe. Our plan is to establish a tribal visitor center there where our history will be exhibited, our culture will be on exhibit, and it's a place where we can conduct our events. We can have open air Indian art markets, we can have walks, we can have children's culture and language camps there, we can have senior activities, and more importantly, we can tap into the tourism market that comes to the Great Falls area, particularly those people that go from Yellowstone Park up to Glacier. In fact, Gerald and I just spent the last 2-3 days at the Governor's Tourism Conference. To this date, we got the keys to the building about 3 weeks ago, and like John said, I've been spending the past 3 weekends in there shoveling back crap, scraping walls, floors, tearing out old carpeting, scraping the floors because some of the carpet was glued down, and getting it clean enough to where you could actually take people in there. And then a few days ago, the State Parks Administrator and some of his staff, as well as the regional manager for PPL, and 2 of his people came and they toured the building, and we visited about what our plans are, and they were happy to see what we're doing. But as the chairman mentioned, the next stage is we have to have a memorandum of understanding drafted up between the state of Montana and the Little Shell Chippewa tribe, detailing basically what we're going to be using that property for, who's going to be responsible for what we will do, what Fish Life and Parks will do, and then we sign off on that. The money that we're able to get from the state through the Indian Country Economic Development funding was to amount to $70,000, but as the chairman stated earlier, we had to use a little over $7,000 of that to pay taxes on our building here in Great Falls, so the budget that we will have for renovating that building will be $62,000. At the tourism conference, I attended a workshop where I think we'll be able to access some more money. I'll have to write another grant application to the state, but it's for tourism-related projects, and so I'm going to get some more money that will go toward that building. At the same time, at our last quarterly meeting, there was a number of people that stepped forward and volunteered their time, their expertise, and in some cases their equipment to help with this effort. People like Donnie Davis, who's a contractor from Helena and has a lot of heavy equipment. Greg Vogel and his brother, they said they would come and help do the plumbing. Larry Olson is an architect, a tribal member down Billings. He's going to come up, I've already contacted him, he's going to come up and do what we call the code assessment. He's going to go throughout the building and basically will assess whether our plumbing is up to code, whether our wiring is up to code, the structural assessment will be done. Meanwhile, Fish Life and Parks is going to be sending one of their staff people from the Helena office to do what they call almost like a home and health inspection, to make sure that they have a list of what needs to be done in that building to make it safe, for people to not only visit there, but also to work in there. There's a number of requirements that the state will have, one of which is that it has to be ADA compliant, handicap accessible. So in addition to jacking up that long front porch and leveling it out and building new supports under it, we're going to have to build a handicap ramp and attach it to it. One part of the roof has had shingles that have blown off, so I'm gonna have to have a roofing crew go up there and replace some of the shingles. Some of the doorways are gonna have to be widened to be ADA compliant. The good news is I've already met with the state director of the Montana Conservation Corps. These people have a lot of young folks that do things like go into parks and build picnic shelters and trails and signage, and they've agreed to take this on as a project. And so we will have picnic shelters built out there where, you know, our people and other visitors can go out there and have picnics and day camps. We won't really get into a lot of the work until after July 1 because our Indian Country Economic Development money won't be released from the state until after July 1. And that MOU has to be put in place by June 30th. But after July 1, we'll see a lot of activity taking place out there. Meanwhile, we'll be trying to do as much as we can before we get that money, including probably trimming out and removing some of the dead trees and branches. Jerry Thumb, who's a tribal member that lives in Boise, Idaho, and has a landscaping business, said that he would bring some of his crew and his equipment over to help us do that as well. So we're trying to take our money that we're going to get from the state, stretch it as far as we can, and get people to, you know, come out there and help, you know, with the renovation, with the cleanup, and also down the road, we will be looking for people to volunteer to also work in the place as well.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Now, before that memorandum, before you have, get the memorandum drawn up with the state, the agreement with the state, so we get that building fixed up, is there a possibility of their reneging on the deal? Do we have any signed
No, they,
commitment from them?
no, the State Parks Administrator is fully supportive of what we want to do out there. And he explained to me in a meeting that Lisa Evers, that's the Director of Indian Affairs for the state, and I had with him in Helena. He was explaining to us that in the Department of Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, the fish and wildlife part of their department make money off the fees, but when it comes to the park system, they're always like a stepchild within that department. And Parks is always struggling with a very lean budget and trying to stretch their manpower. And so they're actually gonna have a bill in the upcoming legislature where, who knows, maybe some of those state parks might go away. This is one piece of their park system that I think they would, you know, they indicated that they'd be more than willing to see go into the tribal hands.
So there's a possibility of Little Shell actually owning those 7 acres in the building?
Yes.
When we first did that, wasn't there a 10-year type thing?
That's the language, yeah. It
Can
said-
that be changed?
Yeah, it can. Anytime we go back into the legislature, we can speed that process up, that time frame up. But I think from what he told me when he was out here to tour the building, my impression was that the State Parks Administrator is very interested in having this as a showcase to the legislature and the public about what kind of a partnership and collaboration can take place between the state park system and the tribe, and they want to show that.
Okay, one more question. In these monies, is it only for fixing up and repairing and stuff? If, say, you put kind of like a convenience store or a shop in there, will you be able to buy supplies and pay employees?
The plan is, in fact, it's in the budget that we put in the budget that there would be, some of the money would actually be spent setting up a snack shop and a gift shop in that building. And our hope is to employ
Equipment, that
people.
type of thing?
Yeah, we want to try to create, in fact, that was part of the grant application, was they want to know how many jobs you were going to create. And if I remember right, Gerald and I put in that grant application that there would be 2 to 3 part-time jobs created. Keep in mind, most of this is going to be seasonal anyway.
Any questions? I think, you know, we're behind it. We discussed this a little bit. I think it would be, it may take some time. It's gonna take a tremendous amount of hard work, but I'll tell you what, to own 7 acres by any type of waterfront is quite a good thing. Also, you know, there's so many people that go down there and spend time at that dam, doing their fishing and looking things over there. And when we have visitors that come over there, they can go down and look at that beautiful view of the dam, the river, and all the things. And I would like to be able to go to something that says belongs to us. You know, that we have an arbor out there that belongs to us. You know, that says Little Shell on the side of the building. You know, it would be nice. So it doesn't sound like it's finalized yet, but we are attempting to make it happen. So that's the best I can tell you at this time. Go ahead, Daryl.
I hate to be the only one asking questions, but anyway, has the Economic Development Committee considered anything out at the Malmstrom? I just heard the other day that a big company went in there and bought all the housing. And I'm wondering how this is gonna affect the base and if there's some way we can get our foot in the door out there. I think we've had other people express that, you know, if you could get some small economic thing going in at the base, you have your foot in the door with the feds. And I just wondered if maybe Gerald had something down the road.
No, we haven't. With the STED stuff, we haven't heard anything on that, so, I mean, we'll look.
Well, I know, I just talked to the contractor that actually got the bid on that, and they,
No, they bought all the housing.
but they're gonna
And
tear,
then
the
the
company's
gonna
tearing
rent
them
it
down.
back.
The other ones, they moved out, is that what you're talking about, moving them?
Oh, no, that's a different situation.
Oh, okay, cause I just talked to him, they're tearing all them ones down, they're not moving
Yeah,
them.
but it's the new ones
They're,
they
they're,
just built.
the Rocky Boy got some of those houses for the tribal people, because
Right.
I
Last
have
time
a relative that got one of those houses in Rocky Boy.
Remember that meeting?
One of those Malmstrom houses.
The ones
So they
that-
must have given them to tribes.
Yeah, if they hauled them out.
Yeah, they did a whole bunch of Rocky Boy.
Well,
But
I'm not
this-
gonna say anything. I know a little bit more on that too. I like what you're saying. You are absolutely correct. If there's any way we had a business of any sort that we could at least prove ourselves to contracting officers on the Malmstrom Air Force Base, and we do a good job, you could do very
Could
good with
even
it.
be a coffee shop or some little
Yeah.
thing, you know,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
doesn't take
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
expense, but that's been recommended to me several times.
Well, Clarence and I, and we went to a meeting at Cutbank at one time, and they had a speaker from Browning. And he gave us a good speech on that, what we could do. There's an avenue there with getting our name in there. In case they close that base, it comes to us. And he said also in the Forest Service worked the same way. So,
I'm sure.
you remember that meeting, huh?
I'm sure that's possible.
Yeah, the gentleman was an accountant for the tribe in Browning.
Yeah.
And I'll just tell you one thing that I heard. I'm not certain, so I mean, what we've heard. It might be private or confidential, but you know, the houses, I do know that Rocky Boy did get some of the houses, and then they had to reject them because they didn't have any funding to have pay for them to be towed or moved to the res. So I don't know what it costs to have somebody take a house, move a house down the road or not, but I imagine, you know, it could be substantial, try to move a house so many miles, but that would be a great opportunity if we could pick up houses, I'll tell you.
They must have had funding because she did get it. It's there.
Yeah, we did get, I guess, you know, we don't have our land base or whatever and all that stuff yet, but, you know, Gerald mentioned it to me. I did get a flyer from the TLC, the Tribal Leaders Council. FEMA's trying to give away trailers, 12 by 40 and 14 by 60, real small. And one, if you want one, you can apply for it. One's $3,000 to have it towed this far, I think towards anywhere to the border of Montana. and the other one's $3,500. But they are equipped with refrigerators, microwave, and they are insulated for the Northwest.
The planes,
Yeah, the plane. So if anybody has any interest and wants some information on that, we can provide that.
I'm gonna post it on Facebook and then also on the website too, the flyer, so.
Where are those trailers at?
Well, they're back east. I don't know where they're at. They're back east somewhere.
They just called them FEMA trailers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one, they have a
lot of
problem,
people
because
lived
remember
in-
that Mount High deal?
Down in, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
When they had that flood downtown.
but how about this for an idea? Gerald Gray and I was discussing, what if the tribe picked up about 40 of those and we had some land in North Dakota and we rented them all out to oil? Yeah, $1,500 a month per unit. If we had about 40,
It
we
would
would bring
be.
in.
Most of us do have a little patch of land somewhere here.
Yeah.
Who knows if it's big enough for a trailer?
Yeah. So if anybody's interested, you can contact me, Gerald, or whatever, or we can post it, he can take care of it, but there is an opportunity to make this contact. I don't know if they're gonna have any problems that we're not federally recognized or not, I'm not certain. But anyway, that opportunity is out there.
And you also look in towards the Shoto and Western that way.
Huh?
Look out towards Shoto and DePuyer and all that area though.
Oh,
We moved a lot of oil rigs here last week.
oh, okay. Yeah. So, last but not least, we're coming to the end of our agenda here. I've been approached by Mr. Frank Belgard here he wants to have 10 minutes of our time to explain something to us. So, you want to come up here, please? And introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and
Council membership. My name is Frank Belgard, and I live in Helena. And in 2008, I filed for a divorce from my ex-wife, who has various drug and alcohol problems. She was extremely abusive. And during my divorce, I couldn't afford a lawyer, and I called the local Indian legal counsel in Helena, and they told me to look up the Indian Child Welfare Act. And under the Indian Child Welfare Act, the state court must inform our tribe of any custody battle. The judge in my case never did that. Not only did she never do that, but she has violated every single judicial canon of ethic. Every petition that I've put forward has been denied without even allowing me to present arguments. I'm not allowed to present evidence against my ex-wife. The last petition my ex-wife put into court, the judge ruled on it 2 days after her lawyer put it into the court, and by law, I have 10 days to respond, so I'm not even allowed to respond to their argument. And no matter what I do, the judge takes my kids away from me and gives them to an abusive woman. Child Protective Services hasn't done anything. Everybody that I turn them into completely ignores me. Michael, go get your sister, please. He shouldn't be hearing this. So, my ex-wife's attorney has entered phony documents, and they've come up missing out of the divorce file. I got the court records that show that the judge allowed it, even though it was unethical evidence. I'm going to send a very detailed report to the tribal council on all of this matter. So now that we're setting up a court and putting forth changes in the Constitution, it's extremely important that we adopt the Indian Child Welfare Act into our Constitution. so that the state courts can't do this. Another person I know that lives in Helena, his name's Rick Rutherford. He applied for membership with our tribe, and he said it hasn't been processed yet, but his children were actually kidnapped. And this same judge refused to sign warrants for the arrest of his ex-wife. I've turned my ex-wife in for multiple felonies, and the county attorney refuses to prosecute her because I divorced her. So my hands are tied, and the only thing left to protect my little boy is this council. And us bringing a constitution forward to keep the state of Montana from tearing our tribe apart. So I'm asking the council here that when I send you this information, that you look at it seriously, because crimes have been committed in my divorce case, and take action against it. This tribe's rights have been violated. And that when it comes time, whether it's 3 months from now, by the next council meeting, if we have a constitution amendment vote by then, or 6 months from now, or 2 years from now, that this is adopted, because the state of Montana is killing this tribe as bad as the federal government has.
So I take it your wife isn't native?
No.
I believe federal recognition has something to do with, whether we can actually have a court. Is that right, John?
I think you're right, but what he's saying here, we're all taking notice, and you're right, you gave us an eye-opener here. I would say first things of that thing would be somebody like our attorney Troy Woodward, because I have to be just flat honest with you, I don't know enough about it. But being that we are the governing body, and I see what you're saying, we will check into this. Okay?
Thank you.
Yep. Okay.
Can I just ask a question?
Go right ahead.
Daryl, is Indian Child Welfare, is that federal or is that state?
Both.
Is it both?
It's federal law.
It's a federal law, but
It's a federal law, but it
Applies to us as well.
It applies to state tribes as well. It's like I said, when I couldn't afford an attorney, I called one of the offices, there's 2 offices in Helena that have Indian attorneys, to see if I could get an attorney. And the first thing she said to me, she said, we don't handle divorces, but you need to look at the Indian Child Welfare Act. Because this judge must inform your tribe. So it doesn't matter whether we're a federally recognized tribe or not. The judge has to tell you that there's a custody battle going on.
Okay, I would just
I'm
wondering
just,
myself.
I know.
I know that we get things, we've gotten a lot from Butte.
James, you want to make a comment?
all over the state,
We, historically, our tribe has been included in the Indian Child Welfare Act, not by the state of Montana, but other tribes around us, particularly Washington, where there are a number of ICWA cases that are currently pending. More to the point, in your case, when I was vice chairman a few years ago, we had a young tribal member, a guy who was in the same situation. It was a divorce proceeding. They were basically fighting over custody of the kids. That divorce was heard in local district court here in Great Falls, in Judge McKittrick's court. And I was asked as a tribal official to be there, and I went. And it resulted in the judge ruling in the young man's case. And they also invoked the Indian Child Welfare Act, and he got custody of his kids. So you know, there's precedence, you know, but at the same time, you know, our tribe hasn't always, you know, done a good job of being consistently upfront about, you know, our tribal rights and representation. And this is one of the areas where, you know, we're sorely lacking is we need somebody, you know, that's an expert in the Child Welfare Act cases. My sister Pat volunteered for us for a while, but she's very sick, and she was an expert and knew the law and testified in court. We're hoping that, you know, we'll be able to strengthen that case, but meanwhile, you still have ground to stand on, so don't lose hope. And I would encourage the council to at least send a letter to the judge involved in this case, notifying them that the tribe intends to intervene in this case. And that's most of the time what they want to know, whether it's from this court or from a court in another state. They want to know, number one, is this child a enrolled member of your tribe, eligible to be enrolled, or a descendant? And usually we send a response back saying, yes, this child is enrolled or is a descendant of our tribe, and we're interested in what's going to happen with this child, and we intend to intervene in any hearings, and they will then mail to the tribe any notices of upcoming hearings. So I would encourage the council to at least do that in this case, because you have a tribal member that has asked the council directly for help, and that's what you're elected to do.
Yeah, I think it's a very important issue. I think it's very important.
Well, isn't Daryl, that is what you've been doing, right?
That's what I've been doing, but I don't have anything on him. But
Yeah.
there again, I said, I've got a whole box full of stuff that's never been opened.
Stacks of them.
But he said that the judge did not
Yeah, if the judge did not,
notify
but-
us, so there wouldn't be anything.
Okay, Mr. Gray's got something else here?
Dale, did you want, Mr. Pinner want to come up and talk about your? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Dale Fenner, and I'll just take up like 2 or 3 minutes of your time. I'm here representing this organization called Western Native Voice. And we're basically a 501c3 nonprofit based out of Billings. We're fiscally sponsored by the Western Organization Resource Council in Billings, Montana. And I am able to register voters today. Nobody's registered, which I'm sure most of you probably are, this being this group of people. But on another hand, one of the components of what we're being funded for is to kind of gather different information that applies to you know, the electoral process that can affect Indian peoples. It sounds like major issues that I've heard people talk about today is something like ICWA, which by the way is federal, and I think something that NARF did back in like '78 or something. So that's an issue, it sounds like, but then also you know, the ICE funds and stuff like that, stuff that we could kind of gather from communities throughout Montana and then bring it back to, you know, our headquarters, and then make sure that these things are put on the ballot. And one thing I should also mention is that we're nonpartisan, meaning that we're not going to be, you know, endorsing any candidates or anything like that. Just issues that, of course, candidates could choose whether or not to endorse. So, if you have any questions for me or anything like that, and you know, one thing I might mention to you guys as well is you were talking about things with the website and stuff like that, and pulling different volunteers and stuff. And I also have a background in multimedia development. So I've worked with like national Native organizations and whatnot. And you guys mentioned NCAI earlier. I've served as the Colorado State League during the 2008 election season. So, you know, basically we were there for all those efforts, and you know, just different things like that. So I can be of assistance for anything that would involve corporate branding or any collateral materials or stationery or anything that you guys might need. I could provide those services free of charge. And like I said, even if it's just like updating your website or maintaining it, I guess, if you needed that assistance. So, but other than that, if you have any questions for me, please don't ask me anything that I don't know though.
I'll take, do you have a card?
I don't have a card, we're not that sharp yet, it's very
Okay.
grassroots, we
I have
just start. I've talked
I
to her,
have
she
his
has my
address and
information,
everything
so.
down at the office.
Okay, and we got your phone number, right?
Yes.
Very good.
How long has your organization been?
We just started everything, which is why I don't have any cards or anything, we just,
Sounds familiar.
they just kinda asked me to come out here and, you know, last week, and I said, okay, I'll kinda take a peek over in Great Falls and see what's going on, and then I just kinda came out here on a whim, and then she told me about this meeting, and it's been really interesting, hearing everything that went on today and whatnot. So, and I recognize some of you, do you remember me? I think I didn't, aren't you from Browning?
No.
Oh, never mind. But I know some of the people in here, and I believe ICWA, you know, Indian Child Welfare Act, it is a big deal because, you know, we don't want, you know, Angelina Jolie or Madonna adopting our babies, but, you know, if that happened to me, that would be like winning the lottery, but, you know. So, if does anybody have any questions or anything, or just, no?
James, go ahead.
I assume that through your board registration effort, that you'd be more than willing to come to some of our events and have a table set up.
Oh, sure.
So I would encourage you to come to the Round Dance, Community Walk, in May, as well as our other events, like our next council meeting.
Sure.
Come with your cards.
Yeah, and I'll try to actually have cards next time, so. I do have some napkins, but there's a little bit of ketchup on them. Okay, but if anybody does wanna get in touch with me or knows anybody that's not registered or anything like that, they could, maybe, it would be so nice to, share that with them. Did I pronounce your name right?
Beg your pardon?
I was looking if I pronounced your name correctly.
Albina.
Okay,
It's close enough.
okay. So, that's all I wanted to say. Okay,
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for spending your time over here. Tell us, that's good. I want to say, before we're gonna, two other things I want to mention. First of all, I want to say thank you to Fran, because Fran, he sends out all of our emails, tries to get things done. He's got quite a list. Old Fran does a good job. And he's also videotaped. And I also was reminded today, and I think it was Albina, who said something about cleanup day.
Yes, that
You know,
this is a mess.
we need help. We need help yet in the office, any volunteers we can get, we need help. But we need to have a cleanup day over there at the property that we own. You know, we need to cut down some of the bushes and rake things and get garbage out and, you know, spend a half a day over there and get it looking nice, you know, outside the yard and even in the backyard. So, we sure could use some, we'll pick a date maybe for a cleanup day, and we could sure use some volunteers.
And stuff to haul away with.
Huh?
And trucks and trailers to haul the junk away with.
Yeah, yeah.
Clarence did a really good job. He worked his
He
hind
did,
off.
he did. There's-
He hauled out a lot of stuff, whole big, I don't know, how long's that trailer?
20 foot.
20 foot, full of junk.
Yeah. So, very good. So, remember that. Yeah, Betty?
I was just gonna say announce the next
Oh, you know, our next quarterly meeting is, what day is it? What, we change it? July 14th.
Didn't we say third?
No, we changed it.
Second?
changed it because of
The holidays.
Okay. All right.
Okay, are there any questions at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen? Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for hanging in there with us.
Did he talk about this?
We're not going to. There's nothing to do. Because I'm the one, I've sit with the Montana Liable, council, so.
John,
Yes,
can I just mention something?
sure.
You know, we talked about having our meetings in another, you know, because our people are from all over. So maybe we could set up our July one, Helena or Billings or somewhere else. Do you think?
I wouldn't have any problems with
Gerald, is there a place you know that we could use?
Billings, yeah, that's where we wanna have it, yeah.
Or, what do you think? I mean, well, it's just suggesting we had talked about it.
Thank you all for coming, I appreciate
Go
it.
over here.
Frank,
The gas fee, $4 a gallon.
Yeah, you're right.
That'd be okay. Well, I'm gonna put that in.
John, the gas fee, $4 a gallon. I just wonder how many people are gonna travel.
No, I
be
think
able to travel.
I agree, I agree. I don't know. That's the dilemma we face.
Like I said, I'm gonna send you guys a.
Anyway, meeting adjourned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well,
Yes.
And we should add a second.
George McCarter.
It'll probably take me
Buy some tickets.
I'll send it later.
Glad to see you here. Are you getting emails from France? Oh, I didn't send one this time because I thought that getting them out. I'll make sure you get them.